Hey guys, welcome back to the JamieBot channel, and in this video I want to talk about the 3 top web development trends for 2019. And these are like the big picture. You're not going to want to miss out on these because quite frankly these trends are going to crush like the old way of developing web apps. So make sure you watch to the very end and don't miss out on these trends. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I release new content fairly frequently, and also just help me out a lot. So appreciate it if you do that. And now let's get into the trends. So first trend is as a service. So this is a huge trend right now. Like the tools we use as developers, particularly web developers, are getting better and better. A lot of the tools are generic, like Firebase is one of them. Like it can be used with many different technologies, but the as-a-service trend is huge as far as web technologies go because typically you want websites to be very scalable, and there are typically a lot of problems that can go along with that. But with something like Firebase, a lot of those problems are handled for you. I worked at a fairly large corporation before I came and did YouTube. And basically they had teams and teams of people dedicated to solving problems. Like if the site went down, or like a particular service went down, like the login service or something like that. But all of that is handled for you with a service like Firebase. And secondly, scaling is also handled for you. It's super easy to scale out your app. Okay, so the tools are getting way better. Alright, and then these next few points are just like the number of employees keeps going down for like huge billion-dollar companies like IBM. Currently it has over 300,000 employees. Facebook has only over 30,000, and Instagram has only over 500 employees. Okay, so like the number of employees is dropping for all these huge companies, and they're huge in terms of revenue, not necessarily company size. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. And I know they're not all exactly parallel, but like social networks didn't really even exist back when IBM was around. But I'm just trying to give you the big picture and show you that the number of employees is rapidly dropping, and that's because of the as a service. You don't need all of the employees at Firebase. They can just stay at Firebase and do their service, and you can plug into them and use their infrastructure, and it's going to cost you way less than having an extra like 50 employees at least to handle something like that at that massive of a scale. So the next big startup, who knows, it could have only like 1 to 10 employees. So if you're building a web app, don't feel afraid that you're only a single person or you have a small team, because using other things as a service can really help you scale. And like I was saying earlier, we have Firebase and Angular, and like what else do you really need? Anything else you really need to scale out an app, there's probably a service for that, or maybe you can create that service. So huge movement as a service. Alright, the next trend that I'm seeing right now is automation, and particularly I'm talking about machine learning. So that's what ML stands for, machine learning. And if you're not familiar with machine learning, it's basically just an algorithm or a computer recipe for predicting something. There's always like a desired prediction, or sometimes you can do what's called clustering, like grouping things. So I'll give you a perfect example. So YouTube uses machine learning in order to gauge your recommendations. So like if you start watching a lot of my videos, then it will start recommending my videos for you in your feed because it thinks that you like them. So if you drop a like, it'll think, oh, I want to see even more JamieBot videos because he liked this video. Whereas if you all of a sudden stop watching the videos, then YouTube, the machine learning algorithm will say, oh, he's not really that interested in these videos anymore. So that's an example of machine learning. And the reason that this is a huge trend right now is that in the past, machine learning, it was, the technology existed, but it wasn't very well understood, like exactly what it could be used for. It didn't really gain mass adoption, is really what I'm trying to say. But right now there's a huge trend where entire companies are started just on a bet that they can release a product, oftentimes a website, that utilizes machine learning as a service, which like Firebase has that as well. So they'll start a company to utilize machine learning as a service in order to solve somebody's problem. So that's a huge trend right now. If you guys are familiar with Y Combinator, Y Combinator is the incubator, or basically like they funded all these different companies like Twitch, Reddit. They funded all these little companies that turned out to be massive, and part of where I'm getting this automation slide from is them, the president of Y Combinator. His name's Sam Altman. He says that machine learning is like the next big trend, kind of like the iPhone was back when it came out. And that's just because machine learning allows you to solve things that otherwise would be basically impossible to solve, like fine-tuning recommendations for each individual YouTube user. That's basically an impossible problem to do well without machine learning. Like, you would have to write so much code to do that. It's completely ridiculous to even propose that, but machine learning allows that sort of problem to be solved at scale. And so a lot of new web applications are built entirely around the premise of machine learning, because the competition, like anyone you're competing with, if they're not using machine learning and you do a good job, they'll just completely get wiped out, because you can't compete with a computer when you're just trying to hard code the rules manually. The computer never sleeps. It doesn't even really need to get paid except for to have power. It's just going to be a way better solution than trying to like manually code for something. Now, not all problems are really solvable by machine learning, at least of yet, but if you can think of a clever way to apply machine learning to solve whatever problem you're working on, chances are that it might work out for you. Alright, the next trend for 2019, as far as web development goes, is integrations. And this has kind of been going on for a while now, but there's been a huge announcement from Twitch. They announced this contest in February 2019, where the winner of this contest, which is a plugin contest, will get 15 grand, as well as the opportunity to meet the founders of Twitch. And so the plugins are web-based, and so if you're a web developer, you might consider applying to that competition, because hey, you might have a chance to actually win that thing, and also, like, you'd have a plugin that's popular, and there's probably a way to monetize that. I haven't really thought about how you would do that, but I'm sure that it's possible, like how to, generate income from something like that. So yeah, that's one integration as far as web development goes. But also, I just kind of wanted to talk about like hybrid frameworks like Ionic. I believe that web code is not going away anytime soon, and that's because like the entire web is built using this technology, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. There are some slight variations, but in the end, the browser only knows how to render HTML, CSS, and it knows how to run JavaScript code. So those aren't going away, because there are so many deep roots, like all these different browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, even like Edge and Internet Explorer. Like there's so much software that exists in order to process HTML code already. I think it would be very, very hard to sort of override that with something else. I kind of think of it like, you know how our computers, they run like binary under the surface, like it's all just ones and zeros at the very most low level because of transistors and all that. There's either signal or there's no signal, 1 or 0. Well, if someone thought of a better way to encode computers, like maybe if quantum computers could be that small or something like that, there's already so much infrastructure that supports these binary computers that anything, even if it was better, there would just be such a long window in which the old technology would still run. So I think the same thing with web technologies. Like, users already just use websites, they use Chrome, they use all these browsers and so forth. And so I think that having knowledge in web development is just extraordinarily valuable. And that's why I think that hybrid frameworks like Ionic won't go away anytime soon, as well as like web code in general, just because this technology is so ubiquitous and just widely used everywhere. It would take such a long time in order for something else to override that. So I think that web technology will continue having integrations with platforms like Twitch. Who knows, maybe YouTube will do it at some point. Just because there's like a massive amount of developers for the web, and the technology works basically anywhere. Alright, and that's it for the video, you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you do enjoy the content, and also leave a comment below. What do you think the trends are for 2019? What do you think is going to be happening as far as the future of web development? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.